One of his people prays of all his saints, even unto the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye Yahweh. Just give us that's all we need. Congratulations, you have graduated. This level of matrix, you're a conjuration. No, you couldn't enter the program creator. That's what you were made for. That's why you were brainwashed. You are alpha, beta, zeta, whereby your creator. And you go and your savior. What for you, bondage? How if you choose knowledge? Congratulations, you have graduated. This level of matrix, you're a conjuration. No, you couldn't enter. Be the program creator. That's what you were made for. That's why you were brainwashed. You are alpha, beta, zeta. Programmed by your enslaver. And you call him your savior. I feel you for knowledge. I got a few Jews of knowledge. And I just let's free. Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other Elohim, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurances of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would Elohim it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would Elohim it were morning, for the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. And Yahuwah shall bring thee into Mitzrayim, again with ships, by the way where I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and these shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall redeem you.
Greetings and salutations. We are here in this space. Shouts out to everybody who was in here. I'm going to start on Clubhouse. We got Koti Yafe, Shalom, Koti Yamina, Shalom. Go over here on YouTube. We got peace to the Chief. Peace, Aki Jason. Peace, Alpha Woman now with Yakira Eden. Peace, Top Tier. Peace, Naya. Peace, Master Medelec. Shalom. Peace, Alexandria. Peace, G, a.k.a. G. Okay. a.k.a. G. All right. We got Peace, Aki Darian. And I see Peace, Aki Isaiah. All right, let's get it on, huh? If you look at the clubhouse, or if you look at, and I'm really vibing off of what we spoke about on Friday. So if you have not tuned into that, I suggest that all of you go back, check that out. If you already listened to it, then listen to it again. It's talking about true fidelity. Basically, not basically, but actually being sold out for something, being committed to something, being, this is what I am, this is what I do, finding one's identity. And if you've ever looked at the clubhouse, I think when it's talking to you or telling one about the channel, it'll start to say something along the lines of the greatest or the best self-preservation is group preservation. Boom, I'm gonna put it up there, right? The best self-preservation is group preservation. So many times you'll start to hear certain people start to tell you what is going on, and to ultimately be an individual, to be yourself, to be whatever it is that you desire to be. Now, the problem with this is, though, who are you? Sometimes you start to hear certain people talk about the imposter syndrome, where now you start to imposter certain things and you really don't know or really don't have one's own identity, right? So now this is where it starts to come in, where you hear, I think you've heard Chief say this numerous times. If you do not choose a culture, one will be chosen for you. So if you don't take the time to identify the different cultures and subcultures within this overarching culture, which some may call it racism, white supremacy, but if you don't take the time to start to identify, you know what, this is where I'm at, this is where I should be, or this is what I want to start to fashion myself into, well, then now one will be chosen for you, and it may just be detrimental to you and whatever it is that you are trying to get accomplished. Now, I think it's important that since we're talking about culture, that we define culture. I'm first going to use the definition from the dictionary.com, which is just culture is the quality in a person or society that arises from a concern from what is regarded as excellent in the arts, letters, manners, and scholarly pursuits. So, by the way, before I keep going, if anybody wants to join on Clubhouse, just raise your hand, or if anybody wants to come in. I don't know if I put this up there, and I probably, yeah, just put your comments in the comment section, or if you want to, I don't know, y'all, somebody can figure it out. But yeah, if you want to just raise your hand and you can jump in. So culture is the quality in a person or society that arises from a concern from what is regarded as excellent in the arts, letters, manners, and scholarly pursuits. Now, if you read, it's also defined in Solutions for Dysfunctional Family, where culture comes from the Latin colere, which means to cultivate. We are cultivating, one is cultivating their mind, their brain, should I say, and what ultimately is being put into it or being poured into it. And some of that may be beneficial for one as they're moving forward and traversing through the world, and a lot of it may be detrimental to one and how they start to move and traverse through the world. So culture can be looked at as is very simply put the way you do things. And it's just like when you have the story, and we actually, if some of you have taken the classes before, the ABC or New Basics classes, and in those classes you start to go over certain things about, language and mathematics and all of these sorts of things, but it starts to give one culture. It tells you this is the way we do. So even if you hear a story or a song like, this is the way we brush our teeth, brush our teeth, brush our teeth, this is the way we brush our teeth, early in the dawning, right? Like, this is the way you do it. But somebody is giving one a culture. It's fashioning now the brain that's telling you this is the way it's done. This is the way we do it. But it's also now putting one with a group. The group now starts to give one some identity, right? So now if the group and the culture starts to give one some identity, well, then now we have to look at what is called social identity theory, okay? And when we look at this thing called social identity theory, it's a portion of an individual's self-concept derived from perceived membership in a relevant social group. Now, there's a couple things to that which I'm gonna point out here shortly, but I think all of this is relevant. We going somewhere. And again, it is the portion of an individual's self-concept derived from perceived membership in a relevant social group. Now, in this social group, there's going to be three components that the social identity theory starts to point out. And in this social identity, when it starts to point out categorization, identification, and comparison. And I almost feel like I'm going fast right now. So if you need, you be like, hold on, slow down. Let me get all of this. Just say it in the comments or whatever, and then I'll repeat it or I'll go back. All right. Or you can just go back and replay it. You know, either one, we'll get it together. So we got categorization, and categorization comes from, you got to know that something exists for you to belong to a group. So if you didn't know I knew existed, it's hard for one to say that I belong to a new, because you never knew it existed. It's hard for me to say that I belong to a certain university or something if the university never existed. So I have to have knowledge of something in order to now classify or categorize myself in a certain area, right? So once I have knowledge of something, then I can now start to go to step two, which is the identification, which I actually should have put a video up underneath. We'll do that later. Identification starts to say, okay, this is how I identify in the group. So the identifying in the group may, I'm a man, I'm a woman. Some people are non-binary, whatever group that you start to say that you belong to, then you can belong to whatever group and you start to have an identification in that group. Now, within that group of identification, it'll start to point you to, which still, I think Chief shared this in one of our study groups, was the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the base of is just having somebody's, their basic needs need to be met, which again, we go back to we talked about this too on Friday, of The Lion King. And you start to see that when Simba met Timon and Pumbaa, which is now a different group, which is now he's going to identify as something other than what he was. He's going to start it now. It's more an identification as you can be whatever you want to be, right? You can do whatever it is that you want to do in a society that tells you just to be an individual, Hakuna Matata. And his basic needs were met. From now, this is not your diet of eating and living off of the cattle or, the wildebeest or whatever the case may be. You're going to now start eating slugs. And something in him was like, yeah, this ain't really right. But nonetheless, I'm going to eat it. But now his basic needs are being met. So now he can start to identify in this group because of that bottom baseline tier of saying that my basic needs are met. So now I'm going to start climbing. I can start doing other things inside of this group. Now, that takes you to step three, which step three is comparison. So now that you belong to a group, now you start comparing with other groups. What are they doing? And this is why you start getting red versus blue, Crips versus Bloods. No, I'm joking. It's the left versus the right in politics, or people go to war. Religions go to war over territories and all of these different things, because now people say that I'm in this and you're in that. So now mine's is better than yours, or even if you start to see game day on college campuses and all of that, where people might go to Oklahoma, one of them goes to Texas, which starts to become a religion in itself from whole rituals done on that day, but they start to say that we're better than you. And I'm going to prove that we're better than you because now we're going to go to war. So again, if we start to look at this, again, this social identity theory, which is the portion of individual self-concept derived from a perceived membership in a relevant social group. And then there's three, you start to look at it, we break it down as categorization, identification, and comparison. All right. Now I want to start looking at something else with the, and I'm going to pull from a couple different things here. So if you're following along, you're going to see some of the scriptures that I have are in the link. I'm also going to pull from the salvation model in the New Way and the preface, which I'm going to be pulling from as well. So if you want to go back and check that out, matter of fact, you should be reading the whole thing, but if you want to see exactly where I'm coming from when I start to pull from the New Way, it's coming from those two. But I want to take a look right now at this. I'm going to butcher this guy's name. But nonetheless, it's Dr. Masura Emoto. Dr. Masura Emoto and water consciousness. Okay. Now you might be like, what does this have to do with these groups? Well, everything to do with these groups, because in these groups, I mean, one of the things in his work and in his studies that he found was water is shaped by the environment, thoughts, and emotions. All right. So water, and in his study, he did three things. Well, put some rice in a jar, and one of them in 3 different cups. One was spoken to with positive affirmations. One was spoken to negatively, and then the other one was just left alone, like in the middle, didn't say anything, and came back. I think it was after 30 days or something of that nature. And of course, well, it's not of course, because sometimes you may not know what the outcome may be, but the one that was spoken to with positive affirmations, or the group that was spoken to with positive affirmations, had a sweet smelling aroma. And the group, hey, Pastor Middleck. Okay. Welcome to the party, grand opening and grand closing. All right, cool. We're gonna keep it rolling. So the water is shaped by the environment, thoughts, and emotions. All right. So you got the group, one that was spoken to with positive affirmations. You got the group. I see you right here. I got you. Boom. You got the group that was spoken to with positive, the group that was spoken to with negative. I'm repeating myself now. And then the group that didn't say anything. Now, the interesting thing about the group that didn't say anything that just was left alone, that just was lukewarm, it smelled terrible. Like it had a foul aroma. It had the same almost in the sense of the one that was spoken negatively to. So one can't sit in the middle. One can't ride the fence. One can't sit and say, you know what? I'm in something, but I'm not in something. I'm over here, then I'm over there, and not think that something negatively is going to happen, right? And why am I saying that? Because now we got to start to take a look at, well, why is water so significant? Well, one's brain and heart is 73% water. Now this is, I should have put where I got this from. That's all right, next. The lungs are 83% water, kidneys 79% water, skin 64% water. Now, what is ultimately being the water that's being poured into, or what is being said to yourself on a day in and day out basis that is either going to have now a sweet smelling aroma, it's either going to have negatively spoken to, which the society always is beating one down, telling you not how to think, but what to think. about certain things and getting you involved in their group. This is my group. I'm going to get you in with this group, and we're better than that group, or I'm going to put you better than this group, right? But now, some people might ride the fence, though, and say, well, I don't really belong to anything. I dibble with a little bit of this. I dibble and dabble with a little bit of that. And they think that somehow they're going to end up in a better place than people who didn't commit to something. And if we look at the study is going to show us it's going to stink and it's going to smell foul, maybe even worse than the ones that are in a group that one can say that this group doesn't mean sugar, honey, iced tea. All right. So now if we start to take a look at the new way, when it says new hold themselves to a superior specification, irrespective of what exists around it. Now we're going to start talking about flood champions, right? And this is the water. It's going to take us to the water. And the water is going to start to say all that exists around us. I don't know whose hand is up. You're just going to have to re-raise it. I'm sorry. Whatever. All right. So irrespective of what exists around them. So when one has to start to make a climb, then you start to say, you know what? I start to see what these different groups are trying to pour into me. I'm starting to see what these different folks are trying to do. Now it's a matter of, can I climb above it so I don't let the flood inside? All right. So when there's a deluge all around you, the saving grace is that you do not allow the torrent inside. If the liquid that is all around the ship gets inside, the vessel will descend. All right. Now, this is from the salvation model. Now, what ultimately are you letting inside of your consciousness? We start to see that the brain, what is it? 73% water. What are you letting in? Or what do you perceive that you're not letting in, but that you're ultimately riding the fence? And if one is riding the fence, and this is where you start to see some people call themselves an online student. I'm not really committed to our noon. I'm not really committed to the church. I'm not really committed to anything. This is that water that's sitting right in the middle. And when that water sits right in the middle and doesn't really connect or commit to something and not on fire for something, but ultimately is lukewarm, we start to see some negative consequences that start to come from that. Because there always now is going to be some type of opposing force from wherever it is that you are, wherever side of the fence that you feel that you stand, there's going to be an opposing force or that comparison again, right? But where do you stand? Where are you at? And if I say that I'm in Anu, if I say that this is a part of what my day in and day out basis of how I'm going to live my life, am I actually now sold out for that? Is it true fidelity? Or do I hang with infidels? Now, that's now going to take us, let's look at 2 Corinthians 6 and 14 through 15. I need to take that down. Sorry. Oh. All right. And 2 Corinthians 6 and 14 through 15 says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? See, which is interesting because this is what we just spoke about Friday when it was presented by Abba Harut and Master Menelik. And now it's like, okay, well, what if you say that you are something, are you going to sit in the middle of something? Or are you going to be unequally yoked with? And a lot of times people go with that, and I know that they use this for being in relationships or being in, in any sort of thing of that nature. But one has to start to look at where are you consuming and what are you taking in on a day in and day out basis, that torrent or that flood, right? And if one starts to drink dirty water, well, then you can expect that your water to become dirty. If one now is starting to sit in the middle and not really committing themselves to something, then one can expect now from the become dirty. It's when one now starts to practice true fidelity and say that I'm really committed and sold out for something or being on fire for something, is when now that sweet smelling aroma begins to arise. And it's not from a level of, I'm better than you. That's not from a level of, and I want to make this clear, this doesn't mean that one doesn't now have conversations with those who are lost. This doesn't mean that one doesn't have conversations with those who are in need, because sometimes people look at this and will start to say, you know what? I don't mess with those peasants. I don't mess with those that are beneath me. I don't mess with all of those, right? And they become haughty, and and that haughtiness will descend somebody quicker than their own machinations of what they feel like they have ascended to. They will fall faster from grace than anything. So it's a matter of now, though, what am I representing, though, when I step out? What do people see in me when I step out into the world? And I actually show, am I showing that I'm committed to something? Am I showing that I'm not committed to anything and I just listen to some of this and I listen to some of that, which ultimately is producing a foul-smelling aroma as well? Or am I just committed to the world? And is the world going to start to tell me this is what I'm supposed to do? And you know what? If they wanted me to do something different, then God dang it, they would have taught me. They would have put this in school. They would have done this. They would have done that. So I think it's important now that if we start to even look at just making sure that this is not taken out of context of saying that I don't necessarily need to speak to anybody who is beneath me. No, that's not what this is saying. It's just saying that if I hook an ox up, I'm not going to hook a donkey up with it, right? Like and have them pull things together. That's not going to work. I gotta hook an ox up with an ox because both of them gonna get that work done. Where donkey's gonna be like, man, please, like whatever. We're gonna do whatever, and eventually one of them's gonna bleed into the other one, and one of them might take on the consciousness of the other. And going back to the Lion King, so now you have Simba who now starts to hang with Mufasa. I mean, not Mufasa, with Timon and Pumbaa. And he starts to take on the consciousness of Timon and Pumbaa because his reasoning faculties really are not there because he's not old enough to understand what is right from what is wrong, other than what he was told from his father, but now his father is no longer around. He's not connected to his father at this point and begins to now take on with the unbelievers, quote unquote. But now, like I said, though, you don't want to go from a sense of I should not be around certain people, because that's now takes us to 2 Corinthians. We look at 4:3, verse 4, right? And 2 Corinthians 4:3, verse 4 says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. So if one is starting to say that now I'm in this secret group or I'm in a secret society or I only, practice this behind closed doors, but then when I step out, people don't really know where I stand or what I'm about or what I'm doing. Well, if it's hid, then it's hid from those who are lost. So how can anybody ever find their way home if you are not exemplifying the kingdom of Anu? If you're not exemplifying what it is that you say you're about, if you're not exemplifying or committing yourself to Anu, or I'm just an online person, or I just do this, or I just stay on the outskirts, how is anybody ever going to see who is lost? All right, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. All right. So in essence, what are you showing? What are you doing? What have you committed yourself to? What does a true fidelity look like for you? Again, is that now sitting on the fence? Is that now, you know what, I'm sold out? And even in somebody within Anu, you have to ask yourself, am I really committed to Anu? Or am I only just showing up on the Sabbath call? Or am I only showing up on the classes? Or am I only showing up just saying peace to everyone? But then when I actually step out into the world, or when it's actual time to me make a real decision over a family decision or something like that, do I take a worldly view? Do I take a worldly step? Or do I take an Anu step? What are you showing? But then all of a sudden now I can start to profess to the rest of the world of how now everybody should be living, or what everybody should be doing. Or maybe I'm not just going to say anything at all because I feel like if I keep my mouth shut, then nothing will happen. As if now that smell, that stench aroma is not going to be on one either. What are you selling? Right? What have you committed yourself to? And what have you yoked yourself to? What culture or what group have you yoked yourself to? Be not unequally yoked. Have you yoked yourself to something that is just keeping you grounded? Or have you yoked yourself to something that is going to allow you to take flight? That's going to allow you to ascend. Because now, if one wants to straddle the fence, if one wants to play the middle of the road, well, then now one wants that. Now we got to start to take a look at Revelations 3:15 and 16. Revelations 3:15 and 16. And Revelations 3, verse 15 and 16 says, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou were cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Right here, you see, what set you from? You know, it was the great philosopher and poet 2 Chainz who said, everything hot, spit lukewarm. I will spew thee out of my mouth. That's when people start to give themselves pats on the back, or yes, I'm the great online student. I haven't committed, I haven't signed up, I haven't done any of that. But I do show up every now and then. I mean, I have been around, but I haven't committed. Neither hot nor cold. You know, I'm indifferent to the worldly things. I'm not really interested in that. I just dibble and dabble. I learn a little bit from over here. I learn a little bit from over there. Or I'm in Anu and I profess that, you know, Anu is my home and Anu is the group that I belong to. But then now when it's actual time to make real decisions, like I said before, you know what? I'm gonna lean over here instead of doing what I know to be right and exact. Neither hot, neither cold. I'm just thinking I'm gonna just ride the middle. That's where even when you start to see some of the old videos, like if you watch the Game of Thrones or if you watch anything like that, and people start to say, I profess things to the old gods and the new. I don't know. I don't know which is going to work. I don't know really where I stand. I don't know. So you know what? I'm going to just throw this out there. I'm neither hot, I'm neither cold, man. I'm just, whichever one is going to pick me up, then pick me up. But then when it comes down to it, did you practice true fidelity? True fidelity in saying that I am sold out. I am actually committed to a cause. I'm committed to this, what is called a new. I'm committed to this. Or whichever group that you decide to be in. Because a lot of times people leave things because it's like they didn't, it didn't make sense. Right? Or it's like, they couldn't answer my questions, which is why certain people would leave certain communities or certain churches or mosque jigs or anything like that. Like, oh yeah, they couldn't answer my questions. Oh yeah, they couldn't answer your questions. Or were you really committed to it? Did you fornicate and did you drink liquor and did you do all of these things that it told you not to do? Or did you do that because you were lukewarm? Because you were now involved with worldly things, but you also on Sunday or the Sabbath when you're supposed to go on Saturday or whatever, you were there, but then now you stepped back out and you did whatever you wanted to do. Lukewarm. Not hot, not cold, lukewarm. Well, now this that old saying, what you gonna do? You gonna barbecue, you gonna mildew. And mildew is that stanch, that funky aroma from the one that's sitting in the middle that hasn't been told positive affirmations, hasn't been told negatively, but still has a funky aroma to it sitting in the middle. And one thinking that, oh yeah, maybe they may not be able to smell me. Nah. Nah. People can smell you, but now it's just a matter of, are you practicing true fidelity? Are you hanging with infidels? Are you unequally yoked? Have you committed yourself to a group? Have you find your identity in a social setting that starts to tell you to go after material possessions, to go after all shallow and trivial things that ultimately are going to bring nothing but your demise, of wondering how you, this is how certain people get to midlife crisis, of saying that, oh man, I went so long on this road and really none of this has any meaning, and I feel like my life has no meaning. I have all of these things that this world told me to get, all of these things that this world told me that should be deemed successful, that should be deemed as relevant, and now I'm not finding any meaning in any of this. I'm not finding any gratitude. I'm not finding anything that's helping me ascend and anchor me to my soul. It's not doing anything for me. One has an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm sold out for my cause, and my cause is this. Or one is going to sit and try to ride the middle of the fence and say, you know what, I'm here, ain't I? How many times have you heard somebody say that? I'm here, ain't I? Well, what's that? Well, are you sold out of being here? And does it, when you step out into the world, can people actually see it dripping off of you, of where you're at and where you stand? And that doesn't mean that you be arrogant with your information. That doesn't mean that you start to talk down to people, but that just means that now you come to a place of balance. You come to a place of peace. And what is that peace? Is knowing your identity in the midst of chaos. If we even start to go back and look at, let me take this down. And if we even start to go back, what's that? Knowing your identity in the midst of chaos is, we'll go back to this, Anu hold themselves to a superior specification, irrespective of what exists around them. There might be people telling you to go this way, people telling you you should use these nouns and pronouns and all of these different things, but I know who I am. I know what I'm anchored to. I know where my identity comes from the Most High, not from these worldly things and not from these worldly possessions. Now, if we even go back and into the a new way, where it says there is always a dualistic balance in the world sphere. Dualism is one of the laws that govern this dimension. So if you say that you are committed to a group, if you say that you are committed to a certain section, whatever you say you commit to, Anu, there's going to be something that's going to oppose that. There's going to be somebody that's, you talk about God, then you talk about the devil. You talk about left, then somebody's going to talk about right. And there's going to be people that belong to each one of these groups. So there's always a dualistic balance in the world sphere. Dualism is one of the laws that govern this dimension. If you now have a clear conception of the role of Anu, which again, go back, if you have not yet, go back into the Anu way and read the salvation model, and you'll understand where I'm coming from, and you'll understand what this passage. Then by calculations, you can process that there is a dualistically opposing dynamism, grief, of those who are thoroughly invested in worldly spirit. So if you ever have a conversation with somebody who is thoroughly invested in a worldly spirit, then anytime that you begin to speak, it's going to become an irritant. If somebody is sitting at you go out to a lunch, and let's say you ordering a salad and people are eating chitlins, they're gonna be like, what you eating that rabbit food for? Why is your hair covered? You know, why are you doing these certain things? And it's gonna start to become an irritant to them, of saying that, you know, why are you not invested in the things that I'm invested in? Some are driving people towards the rescue arc or chain of salvation, and others are driving them deeper into the seas of spiritual barrenness. Seas, there goes the water again. Further away from the deific. We all have a role to play in the large stratagem of creation. What role are you choosing? What are you choosing to be in this moment? What are you choosing to do in this moment? Have you committed yourself to your studies? Have you committed yourself to the Most High? Have you committed yourself, and are you sold out? Or do you have one foot in And do you have one foot out? Are you, when people see you, are you driving them closer to the Creator? Or are you driving them further away from it? Do they feel comfortable around you because I can just be myself and I can just smoke weed and I can do all of these worldly things because you the homie? Or you're gonna start, man, you know what? What is it that has brought you peace in your life? What is it that you're doing? Now, some people may get with it, some people may not. But again, what are you exemplifying? What have you committed yourself to? Have you started to practice true fidelity? So sometimes one might look and say, well, or one might learn and study, but then like, okay, what am I doing now? Now, if we go back to the preface in the New Way, it'll start to say, when you study this book, you will become enlightened of the ways of Anu, but you must work for your own circumspection by applying what you are being instructed to do. It is only then that wisdom will be yours to stand on with a grip of discernment. Again, let me go back and read this because I think this is important information now. You must work on your own circumspection by applying. Once you read something, once you learn something, are you applying it? Are you doing it? Not just the sense of, yeah, I can repeat something because it's smart. I can repeat something because now I sound deep. I can repeat something because at least now I can say I have the shirt of this group. So if anything ever happens, at least I'm here. I've been there. I've been over there for a little bit. At least I can understand a little bit of the vernacular that's coming from this group. But I'm going to wear it like a shirt. It's not necessarily in me. It's just on me. I put it on like a shirt. You can't just read something. You have to now start to apply something so it becomes your daily habits, your day in and day out movements of what it is that you say you're about and what it is that you say you are doing. And not just some lukewarm, riding the fence in the middle, I'm here, and now all of a sudden you go back to the three categories of water, and the one that was sitting in the middle had the same stench and foul odor as the one that was spoken to negatively, or the one that was committed to worldly things. We can look at that in a bunch of different ways. But again, for your own circumspection by applying what you are being instructed to do. Applying. All right. It is only then that wisdom will be yours to stand on with a grip of discernment. All right. And that's in the preface. Now, there's something that I didn't put down here, but I think it's pertinent that I'm gonna read it. So I'm gonna go back in. Let me find this joker. It's in the New Way. And while I'm doing that, let me see if anybody has a sense of right. Okay, ain't nobody. Back into the New Way, and in the New Way, again coming from the section of salvation. Well, it's highlighted on my other spot. So screw it. We're going to keep it rolling. All right. So in the back at the end, it says, we want nothing that is common, but we aspire to maintain a spirit that is set apart, prestigious, and righteous. Anything else is not Anu. I know it's common for some people to say, just to show up and say that I'm here, ain't I? I know it's common for people to ride the fence. I know it's common for people not to really commit themselves. I know it's common for people not to hold themselves accountable. I know it's common for people to not really practice loyalty or really to study these are things that are common, and just get caught up in saying that I just want to party, I just want to have a good time, or do something to make me feel good. That's common. We want nothing that is common, but we aspire to maintain a spirit that is set apart. Are you ready to say, you know what, I'm ready to ascend? Are you ready to say that I'm committed? Are you ready to say that I'm going to live this thing? That I'm going to actually move and groove, and I can actually move within any community to show what where I'm standing though and what I'm doing. Not to say that I'm unequally yoked, not to say that I'm going to hide so that therefore I'm hiding the light from others. That's not the case. But what am I showing that when I step out, that this is actually what I say that I'm committed to? Am I actually on fire for what it is that I say that I'm committed to? Not for me to start to for an air of superiority above, and I'm better than you, and you're beneath me, and you stink, and I'm not going to teach. No, it's just a matter of now one having peace. And if one has peace in their life, one can maintain their identity and not let the deluge or the water or the flood that is around them in the or being one of a flood champion. Are you ready to maintain the spirit that is set apart, prestigious, and righteous, and anything else is not our new?
Peace.
Peace, Master Menelec.
Peace. How you doing? Peace, everyone. Yeah, man. The time you saw me in the club, I was in the backstage. I tried to be a ninja and sneak in and grab the link and then exit. As soon as I popped up, you saw it. It's like, ah, got me.
That's all right. I'll like come on in.
Yeah, but I definitely appreciate the build and what you're sharing. And, there's a lot to it. And it reminds me of, like, I don't know if you ever went to see, like, a children's recital or any type of theater stage performance, especially with young people. But there's always that point where you could tell who joined it because they love to, let's say, if it's a dance number, they love the dance. They join the stage production because they love to dance, or they join the stage production because it's something that they actually have fun doing. You can always tell those that from the ones who joined it because their mother thought it was cute, or because they need some extracurriculars, so go on out there and do it. Or they did it because their friend was doing it and they didn't want to be out of the loop or out of the group, so they joined it too. Because there are those who are owning what they're doing and they're looking straight ahead, and there are the other ones who are just looking to the left and the right to make sure that they're actually doing it right, because they're not really committed to studying what it is they have to do before they leave the house, or before they get on stage. They actually just go up there and they're lukewarm and they're flailing through all of the practices, or they're laughing and joking, they're not paying attention, or they're being openly rebellious while the director's trying to tell them what it is they need to do. And then on the night of the performance, they're looking left and right to the people who are actually committed. Like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? But you're in the fire now. You can't stop and go whisper in someone's ear. So now you're dancing and you're following what someone else is doing, as opposed to following the instructions you were given. And that is what happens when you straddle the fence, where half of you is listening to the instructions that you're given, and the other half of you wants to play around and joke around in the background and ignore when instructions are being given. And there's a way to do both, but you have to do either or. Either you're laughing and you're joking wholeheartedly, which is something that you can do after the practice or after the recital, or when the director isn't speaking, you can laugh and joke about the performance, and then you could talk about stuff that's not relevant when you're in a space that's not related to it. Or you can be completely committed to that space when you're in that space, and everything you do is in the context of that space. And a lot of people are afraid of committing to either one, because there's always something else playing in the back of your mind. It's like having a bunch of tabs open on the internet and you don't know where the music is coming from, because you're over here doing this, you're over there doing that. And by the time you actually find out where the music is coming from, it's like, oh, that's right. I actually opened this thing up because I needed this. All these other tabs were because I kept distracting myself. So every distraction bred another distraction. But I actually opened up the internet because I wanted to figure out how to cook rice. And now here I am over here trying to figure out how to build a spaceship. But I know damn well I ain't going into space. So you keep getting distracted from all of these things that have nothing to do with where you're going, and then you're wondering why you're not moving anywhere. You're wondering why you're not fulfilled, or why you don't feel sure of your steps. It's because your steps are all over the place. There's a verse in Proverbs in the 4th chapter, and it's saying, "Don't turn aside to the right hand or the left, but turn away thy foot from an evil way." And it's telling you to walk straight ahead on the path that you were given. It's telling you that it's not over here on the left. It's not over here on the right. We constantly get pushed back onto the path by life. Sometimes in a soft way, sometimes in a very in a way that seems harsh, based on our level of hard-headedness. And then when we look down and we look ahead and we see the path ahead of us, we still will. I'll commit to it after I do this thing over here, or I'll commit to it after I do this thing over there, or I haven't really lived my life yet, and I know once I commit to this thing, I won't be able to do some of the things that I have a hankering or desire to do. So I'll just do these things over here, dip and dabble, and then you get lost, and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. It's because you keep stepping off of the path that you keep getting pushed back onto, and then you start wondering, like, what's going on? Why do these things keep happening to me in life? It's not that life is happening to you. Your life is your life, and you reap what you sow. So why do you keep doing this to yourself is the question. Why do I keep doing this to myself if I know where I'm supposed to be going? Even though that voice that was clear when I was younger, telling me, okay, do this, okay, do a spin here, okay, do a 2-step here, dance a step to the left, step to the right. You getting all of these clear directions, but it starts getting drowned out by all of the giggles and the laughter and the whispering by the people who aren't really committed. So rather than focusing on the voice of the director, you're focusing on the voices of people who have no interest in following that voice. And then you step off the path. And there's a piece in the vision. We rejoice in the shared vision that we commit ourselves to wholeheartedly. That's in the Anu way as well, right? And as Anu, we demand change in one another. We demand the difference that comes from professing an application of that huge, remarkable vision. So here it is now, you have a vision, and this is what we're supposed to be holding each other to. So when you see that, you come into Anu and you can't do any whispering on the side. You can't do any joking that's not related to what's going on. But you can't really try to pull people off the path along with you. You want to fall, you can fall on your own. It's like, oh, I don't feel comfortable here because there's no place for my demons to play. So these are some of the things that will come into mind as you were speaking. And I just wanted to jump in and chime in, brother.
I appreciate that. Just what you said, man, of certain places or certain groups that you may want to try to think that your sickness can maintain. You want to maintain your sickness in. And it's like, no, there's certain barriers that somebody's going to say, or an iron wall that one is going to have to run into that says, no, that can't exist here. Well, I could do this at my church. Like nobody really called me out on any of this. Or I could do this at my other group. Nobody called me out on this. Now I'm offended. Now you are offending me. So because you're offending me, then I'm going to run. Because I'm not really looking to actually grow. I'm not looking to go beyond what I say that I profess. Matter of fact, if we look at in the salvation model, where it says the masses of people in the world are not looking to move beyond their human trappings. Though people may profess it, few are aimed to ascend to the realm that observes and controls their humanity. So though I may say that I want something, though I may say that I belong to Anu, though I may say that this is what I am, then all of a sudden you start to look at their lives. You start to look at what they're doing. Just like when Master Menelik said of somebody being in a choir and then somebody saying that I'm committed to it, but then other people are just sitting around and playing around and doing these things. Though I'm here and I profess that this is what I want, I'm actually not committed to this. My heart is really not in this. I'm just here because just in case, if there's something to this, then maybe I too shall be saved. Maybe something can help me out to move forward, and so that I can grow, and so that I can start to now say, oh yeah, I made it. No, it does not work like that. Why does it not work like that? Because you will be spit out just like somebody who says they don't want nothing to do with it. Because one has been lukewarm. One is not committing themselves and saying that, you know what? If this is what I'm reading and this is what it says that I'm supposed to do, how many people just go straight? I was having a conversation with a dude the other day and said, and go straight from, I'm not going to read the Old Testament. I'm just going to go straight to the New Testament, and says, by his grace, I am saved. Even though you start to get a whole long list, you get a list of things that it tells you to do and things that it tells you not to do. I'm going to skip over all of that. Yeah, I'm going to read this, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. That was then. This is now. Yeah, I'm going to read the new way, and I'm just going to pick and choose. I'm going to chew the meat, but then spit out the bone. Like, I'm going to spit out what I think. All right, you want a place? Or you know what? When she said the other day, you know, I read that piece, and it didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really hit my spirit. Well, how many times have you heard she say it's like, well, if I put a milkshake in front of a fat person and a green, I know that's a little harsh for you guys, in front of a fluffy person, and I put a green drink in front of it, what do you think is going to resonate? The green machine is not. This green drink is not. This smoothie will, though. This fried chicken will, though. These ribs and macaroni and cheese will, though. It's the garbage that one has been feeding on for their entire life up until this moment is going to resonate, because that's what one has been consuming. Can one say, you know what, I got to commit myself, and this is my new lifestyle. This is my, just like if you committed yourself to working out and you saying, this is my new normal now. This is what we're going to do now. We're going to get up at 6 a.m. or we're going to get up at whatever time, and I'm going to start working out. And my body is going to start to say, yeah, you know what? I'm not really interested, man. You start to feel that lactic acid when it builds up in your lower back. You start to feel it when you start to run and you sweat, them sweat beads start dropping in your eyes and your eyes start burning. It's easy to say, you know what? This does not resonate. That's very easy to do. Or one is going to say, you know what? I'm going to honor my word. And my word said that this is what I was going to commit myself to. And there's going to be days when I'm going to feel like quitting. There's going to be days when I don't feel like going on. There's going to be days when I don't feel like getting out of the bed. There's going to be days when I just don't feel like moving forward. But guess what? This is my new normal, and I'm going to commit myself to it. And then after you meet about like a 21, 30-day hump, then now your body is going to be like, why have we not worked out? Why are you just sitting down and laying down and doing nothing? Because now it's looking for it, because now it has acclimated itself to its new normal. But you have to commit yourself to something, and it can't be lukewarm. Well, now all of a sudden I go to the gym twice as strong, and then next time I'll go 4, and then the next time I'll just take a break. Now we talking about lukewarm. What results are you expecting if you are not committing yourself to something? What results are you expecting if you say that you're in a group but haven't committed yourself to the doctrine? What type of results are you expecting? This is where certain people will go, whether it be counseling, whether it be group or anything of that nature. They go, they give 40 to 50% of themselves, but expect 100% return. I want the maximum return from whatever it is that you got to offer, but yet I'm not going to give what I'm looking to get. And then if I don't get what I'm giving, what I'm looking to get, now I'm going to complain and say, this is why I had to leave. You know, I messed with that thing. I messed with that new thing. It was all right. It was all right. Nah. Yo 1B is all right. All right. Yo pack of yak is all right. Your Gucci flip-flops is all right. But when we're talking about y'all salvation, and I knew it is the epicenter. Yeah. What are you committing yourself to? And have you really given your 110 10 toes down in whatever it is that you say you're committing yourself to? Or are you just jaw jabbing? Are you professing that you're saying that you want to move beyond these human trappings, but ultimately everything in your actions says that you're not? Are you saying that, you know what, yeah, I'm here, and you patting yourself on the back because, you know what, I'm an online student and I'm just gonna keep rolling the pom pom, but I'm not gonna commit myself? You know what? It's a piece of me when I used to think like, man, I really want Chief to do another segment and put it on a podcast, right? I'd be like, I'd be hungry for it. But at the same time, there's a piece of me that's like so many people that I just want the information. I don't want to commit myself. I don't want to come inside of our new. I just want my goodie bag of a new thing and keep feeding me my new. And then the other piece was like, I hope he never puts another one out for y'all. Just, right? Because it's like, you give 50% but want 100% return. What are you giving? Are you committing? Are you gonna say, you know what? Are you just gonna sit on the outskirts and be lukewarm? See, now that's something I'm working on. Like, yo, but again, go feed the people. When somebody is instructed to do something, then you're instructed to do it. And you don't start to say, well, nah, they don't. They don't deserve it. One can't come to that realization. But like, I'm just not gonna do it because that's what I say needs to be done. You have to follow the spirit of the Most High, and if He says go feed the people, then you go feed the people. It's like, are you committing though? Are you just gonna keep grabbing your goodie bag? Are you gonna keep, yeah, let me just get some things or some trinkets so I can look at it when I get to the house? But when somebody says, well, why don't you come in? Won't you, let me show you what we got going. Oh, no, I'm busy. Oh, no, I got all of these things going on. Oh, no, you don't understand. Are you going to move beyond that? Are you going to just stay? Or you think it's okay just to remain lukewarm? It has the stain, foul, funky, nasty odor as somebody who has committed themselves to worldly things. And I think one starts to think that others can't smell it. Can you smell LLL what the Rock is cooking? No. All right. All right, I'm gonna look through these comments. I don't think I see anybody. I know this is for you, Emma Yakir Eden. I know you be like, you wanted to stay on and ride out, but if nobody has anything they want to share, go and listen to that 4-hour segment that we did on Friday. Okay? About me. All right. Master Milling, did you want to add anything before we close out?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is really on point. I don't know. I guess that's why no one else has something to say. But the experiment that you were talking about, the immortal experiment, the water, the rice that was neglected. I think there's another aspect to it too, because it's not just from being straddling the fence. It's also from a level of neglect. And I think there was a comparison or a question raised during that experiment. What happens to children that may be neglected that way? Whereas the water that was yelled at was better off than the water that wasn't, or the rice that was yelled at, it was better off than the rice that was just simply neglected. And a lot of people are being neglected or neglecting themselves on a regular basis. Like, they think it's normal to neglect mental health or to neglect physical health. And that passes on it infects their parenting style. You leave your children alone to go off and do whatever you feel like doing in the moment, because you don't care for yourself. Now you're raising people who feel like, well, they don't need to be cared for either. So I could just go and do whatever. And here it is now, you get into a space where, or you come into contact with a ministry where it's like, no, that's not how it's supposed to go. You're not supposed to neglect yourself like that. You're not supposed to neglect your community like that. The people around you aren't supposed to be so isolated and so set apart and only ignored when they don't provide you some sort of external stimulation. Be it sex or partying or alcohol or whatever have you, or just empty conversation. You just sitting up with someone talking about nothing, and you figure because you were talking for a long while, the length of time you spoke, it reveals a level of quality of conversation. But meanwhile, you just needed some attention because you've been starved of it your whole life. You don't know what quality attention is. So when you get it, you actually, it's so tricky because you may actually confuse it for love. You may actually confuse it for the person actually caring about you. It's like, oh, as long as I can get attention from this person, they care. Or as long as this person gives me attention, no matter if it's good or bad, no matter if it's abusive or uplifting, those distinctions mean nothing to me. Just give me some attention. Just give me something, and I'll assume that you love me. And as soon as you stop talking to me for like 1 day or 2 days, it's like, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? But it's such a sickness that we tend to overlook. Like you're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That level of self-actualization it seems so foreign to some people because they don't have their basic needs met, and they walk around with these various holes. I think even Yakira Eden had made the comparison to Swiss cheese. You're walking around like Swiss cheese. You're missing this part of your life, missing that part of your life. So if someone comes in and brings some level of healing to you, and you think, oh, this is it. This is what I need. But you're assuming that they're just supposed to just give it to you, and you don't have to do any work. It's like, nah, you gotta be introspective, and you gotta see how those various gaps in your development, how they occurred. Whether you think they're your fault or not, whether you think you're a victim or not, doesn't matter. You've got to be objective about it. But how do you be objective if you don't know where your balancing point is? You're always using emotions to govern how you see the world, because it's very difficult to, oh, there she is. You're looking at, I never see it. I didn't say a big word, but there she is. You're always using your emotions as like a barometer for how things are going or how a situation is. So depending on whether or not you feel good or bad about it, well, that's what it is. That's what's happening here. So if someone says, listen, you need to grow the hell up, but that didn't feel good. Why are you being mean to me? Did you hear what I just said? Yeah, you were saying I'm always acting like a child. No, I said you need to grow the hell up. Oh, that's that feeling again. So now you got to fight your way through their emotions. And it's like, nah, you ain't putting me to work. You ain't putting me to work to help you, to help yourself. You got to want to help yourself, and you got to be committed to helping yourself. It's not something where you can just come into someone's life and abuse their time and energy until you feel like getting serious. If this person is committed to something and they're moving towards something, it's like Chief said, this is a train going somewhere. Either get on the train or hitch yourself to the train and go where the train is going, without all the complaints or I want to take the detour or take me to the corner store right quick so I can get some rolling papers. It's none of that. It's let's get it. You're on this mission, I'm on this mission. But I'm not sure if I have the tools or if I'm equipped enough to actually sustain myself throughout this mission. So I may lean on you for support, but in the same vein, let me show some reciprocity. How could I help you? And it should be a basic, it should be a natural response. Like you ever see those cartoons like a Tom and Jerry, where Jerry encounters a lion, and the lion has like a thorn in his paw. And he removes the thorn from the lion's paw, and the lion is like, wow, thank you so much, little buddy. You need any help, just call me. Like, that's a symbol. We learn that as children. Someone helps you, you should show them gratitude. Like, Tom could not touch this mouse for that whole episode because of this lion. You know what I mean? And if you say that this information has helped you so much, you say that the people who constantly give their energy and their time, and you think they're so amazing, but we didn't follow the sky like this. You know, we were pulled out of the mud, you know, and it was our willingness to hold on to that chain and get ourselves clean that helps us to get stronger. Everyone here is a student, including Chief. He keeps telling us that, you know, so don't make it seem to yourself that this is so far beyond you that you can't really, I can't see myself doing that. Of course you can't see yourself doing that because you're where you're at. You know, you're not in motion. You're stagnant and you're neglecting yourself. You just gotta get in motion. You know, something simple. Start simple. It doesn't have to be something huge or extravagant, like Chief was saying on Friday Night's Build, where some people think it has to be perfect or it's no good. It's like, you're gonna mess up. Just get over yourself. You're gonna mess up. Don't let your ego keep you stuck. And you know you don't want to be there. But yeah, I just want to touch on that.
Absolutely. Of being afraid to make a mistake or being afraid of saying something wrong. You're going to say something wrong. You're coming from the world. Like, we're all getting cleaned up. And that doesn't mean that when folks that are even here are not going to say something wrong. Heck, yeah, I was saying it. I thought I was on point. We're talking about 1 + 3 is 4 and 2 + 2 is 4. They're equal, but they ain't the same. Right? I was like, yeah, I know this one right here about to hit. And he's like, man, we ain't equal. You're going to say something wrong, but you have to be willing to commit yourself to saying that, you know what, I want to ascend. And when I want to ascend, then guess what? Sometimes I might not look at 100% like I know what I'm doing. Sometimes heck, I just read something wrong. I'm pretty sure that I didn't pronounce that one of these words right. But whatever. I mean, it happens. You don't get stuck on it. You don't start to beat yourself up on it. You keep moving. Doesn't mean I'm gonna go back and I'm not gonna read that joke again to make sure I get it. But at the same time, no, you just got to be so committed to something that's saying, you know what, I'm gonna get it. And I'm looking for correction. I'm looking to start to grow, as opposed to just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna lay back. You know, I'm not really gonna commit myself to anything. Or here's one. There's only one race, and it's the human race. I'm gonna live by certain bumper stickers that's just gonna tell me that I'm just gonna be fine if I don't do anything. You drink that Kool-Aid if you want to. That Jim Jones Kool-Aid. Yes, that is. That Jim Jones Kool-Aid. All right. Emma Yakir, did you want to add something?
Peace. Yes, I'm literally pulling over just so that I can join the build.
Well, welcome.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. Parking. Okay. First of all, again, thank you so much for this topic and for all of the precepts that you shared to help put more light on what you're speaking about. As I listened to you, particularly earlier when Master Menelik was giving some examples of like someone being in the dance studio, being in like a gospel, like a church singing group, whatever he was describing. I thought about how so many do that with their spiritual walk. It becomes really transactional, and that becomes the challenge. And it is, like you said, that one fit in, one fit out. So I'm going to go over here, right? I'm going to go pursue Ifa because I want to know these things, and I really don't want to have to do the work. So if the work is I pay some money and I get some rituals and I get some magical hocus pocus, and yes, it may even work for a moment or a season, but I have to continue to feed that beast, feed that energy, feed that vibration. I'm going to do that as long as I have the money, because we're a society of consumers. I can go to church and then I can feel good and I can sing some gospel music and I can praise and holler. I don't have to study. And maybe I may see some a miraculous, transformation or two. But then I'll do that for a little while and just take it for what I can get. But when you think of something like Anu, where the expectation is that it's not about taking what you can get, but seeing what the space requires and bringing more of that, bringing yourself authentically and expecting to be changed, knowing that the expectation is for growth, knowing that, recognizing that not just you, not just me, we're all going to come up here and say something completely incorrect. I mean, I chuckled about it just thinking. I completely misread a quote from Chief about 4 times. Like, how did I misread it 4 times? But it's kind of like, you know what? This is why you're here. Misread it and don't go over it in your head and get down on yourself and then completely lose your stride, as you might have done a year or 2 or 3 years ago. Like, show the growth. Each time there's a challenge presented, use the tools that you claim you have inside of you and allow those to show through. More importantly, allow your creator to be what shines. So that it's not even about Ima, Yakira, Eden. And that's the journey. And I'm saying specifically the journey because as you and Master Menelik have just said, and as Chief continues to say, we're just climbing. We're just moving. There is no perfection. And I know I speak often about the false, really the fallibility of even thinking I can be perfect. Please take your foot down. Thinking I can be perfect because it's just not what we're here to do. It's through the doing that we can even experience. Like you read something and when you read it, I thought, wow, that is wisdom. Wisdom is in the doing. And once we do it, once we take in that knowledge and we do something with it, we come to an understanding. But first we have to do something. And the doing is that wisdom, as Chief has shared with us. And it's like, if all you're doing is listening, that's not the type of doing that is going to get you to understanding. So, but also I want to say, at this point, I don't even think that the messaging here is, come on over to Anu. Come on over and try it. Because you should see something here. Like, I think if each of us who are Anu shared how we got here and what sustains us or what keeps us tethered, it wasn't because we were told, come on over. Come on and apply. To be quite honest, when I applied for Anu, it was one time per year, if I recall correctly, in the spring. I believe it was in March. I had it marked on my calendar since I would say that September or October that I needed to look out, look on that website come February or March. So I know that there are those who may listen and they're just like, okay, they just reminded me for the final time. Let me just do it. Maybe not. But if you do listen and you do realize that, you know what? Yeah, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be a lot of work, for sure. But think about how much work went into getting you to where you are right now and how displeased or dissatisfied you are with the outcome. She said so many times, we take 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of doing the wrong thing and want to come into an environment and receive a magical panacea and be transformed in 2, 3, 4, 5 months, or even 2, 3, 4, 5 years. it's just, there has to be something internal that's driving us towards growth and community and connecting. It can't be, I'm here because of what I can receive. And I think that's a lesson we all have to learn on the journey, right? It's not like, I don't think that we each come in fully, focused on the mission of Anu and not coming with our own laundry list of things that we need to, that I want to lay all my problems here on the altar, right? But then you realize, wait a minute, as you opened up with, the best self-preservation is preservation of the community. So how do I make this community better? How do I contribute to aid in its growth and expansion? That has to be what we're doing, and it needs to really come from a true place of wanting to serve and be of service. No matter if the way I can serve is to be what may be perceived as the most lowly role of them all, but maybe that's the role that I need to be in, and it's the environment needs of me. So I don't know. I had to pull over, one, because this is the community build time, but also because you were really pointing on so many things, and I know that you always come with the fire and with that, push to not have people be lukewarm and to see the value in Anu. And I'm listening, I'm just like, you know what? They know what it is. And for those that know, they'll be where they're supposed to be. Yeah. I just wanted to say good thanks. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good thanks for the comment. And what you said just made me start thinking of the why. When people, what is it? The whys only need a hint. And when you said, like, it was said that this was going to be an opening at a particular time, I marked it on my calendar and said, this is what it is, because I see the importance not only in what the community is doing, but I see the importance of it in my own life, and it not being transactional. Not saying, you know what, this is what I know. If I'm gonna do this, y'all gonna do this for me, or this is what I'm gonna bring. This is what I'm gonna do for this community, and that even goes back to what it says in the salvation model. Once individuals come into this environment with boastful declarations of what they have created or achieved, they are announcing their premier obstacle. Some are legends in their own mind. Well, we have seen that before too. Well, I'm coming in and I want to accomplish something, or I want to be out front, and I'm going to show my wonderful talents. But then all of a sudden, when you're invited to be brotherly, or you're invited to be sisterly, and you're invited to show some genuine concern for a community, or be genuine and be authentic and part of a community that doesn't exist within you, then that means you have to go. We got that has to be exercised. That has to now saying that spirit can't exist.
Right. And it's the authenticity that I'll speak for myself. That was what made me so fearfully ever even speak when I initially came into Anu and started joining the Sabbath build. I'm just like, well, I know I'm going to say something wrong. I know I'm going to say something wrong. And I'll say today, that was the biggest problem, that I was afraid to be recognized as saying something wrong, that I didn't want to be corrected, right? Because the world tells us we're so perfect and we're so amazing, especially melanin dominant women. So being in an environment where the Anu way comes out and I don't meet not near one of the required qualities of an Anu woman, I'm like, well, maybe I should just like pack up and go home, because it's a wrap. And that's when you have to realize, like, no, that's where the work begins. The work begins by owning the fact that, yeah, I did come in with my laundry list, and there was an expectation of, I'll be here and I'll figure out how I can give so I can get. There was that perspective of it being transactional, right? But in growing and in contributing and through having headship, right? Even understanding why is there the covering initiative? Why should I not be in the world uncovered? Coming under that and yielding to that, then you can begin to have those layers peeled little by little, one by one. As she said in the last session on Sabbath, on Yom Shishi, the fellowship, he goes, some people don't even know they're on a 5-year plan. And I chuckle because I'm like, yeah, how many times has Chief given us little, he'll say one little thing. Like with you, oh yeah, Zach, you're the spokesman, you're doing this. And you're like, what?
Don't do that.
But it's that seed, right? But that seed is being planted, not for now. So if I'm told, okay, go do a YouTube, go do this, go do yoga, or go do this on YouTube, I'm kind of like, what? But as we do it, it's like that clay is being chipped, certain parts are being chiseled away, or it's being smushed all down back together so that it can slowly be reformed. But we can only be as reformed as we are yielding. So,
yeah, that's very true. Yeah. And I just wanted to read something that Chief had just put in the chat because and I was thinking about it even in relation to your comment where you said Chief would say one little thing you think is little, because it comes through so quick and so direct. Like there's no fluff to it, so you can only take it for what it is. You need to go back to school. Like that's it. You might think it's little because it's a short sentence. You need to go back to school. 7 words. That's it. And you may think it's a little thing, but it's a big thing. You have no idea how many things in your internal space or in your external space that's going to change. Just the simple act of going back to school, right? And taking that in relationship to what he just put in the chat, because everyone's been saying it in relation to not being lukewarm. Chief said, y'all need to know saying something wrong opens up the opportunity for others who would have said the same thing to witness correction with grace. And in that, we really do overvalue what we currently are. And we're not willing to make that trade-off for what it is that we know we have the potential to be if we would just, like you were saying, you can only be reformed as much as you yield. So why aren't you yielding? Or what part of you isn't yielding? It's that old crusty part, that ego that Chief keeps telling us is what's keeping us stuck. This is everything fire, not everything stone. But the fire does not keep still. Fire is not a static thing. It's always moving. It's always consuming. It's always growing. And what happens with us is we allow ourselves to cool down because we get comfortable until that gets a little uncomfortable. We ignore it and it gets a little bit more uncomfortable and say, I can take it. Get a little bit more uncomfortable. The stove just keeps getting harder and harder. And we keep finding ways to I'll flip the pillow over. It's cool on the other side of the pillow, right? You keep finding little things to make you more comfortable with your current situation. When it's time to move forward. It's time to keep flowing. You keep trying to study. You're gonna be melted down into lava. You're gonna be smelted down from that hard slab of iron that you've allowed yourself, a hard slab of lead that you've allowed yourself to really crystallize into instead of just flowing, because you don't want to go anywhere. You know, you don't want to move. You're comfortable. I think you often say it, it's better the devil you know, right? I'd rather stay with the devil I know than to go forward to the potential devil I don't. And yeah, the ego thing, you identify yourself with your current situation so much, and you've allowed yourself to get so jaded, like we were speaking about last strong, that you don't want to move. And that's what's killing you. And you know it's what's killing you, but you're stuck because you don't want to feel your ego a little bit bruised by being corrected. You know, but that's the fire that burns away all of that crusty stuff that's keeping you from flowing. I think the sisters broke down that movie Noah, and they were beings of light. You know, they were covered in that stone or that hard, crusty outer shell, but they were still light. You know, and all they had to do was remove that outer shell to be what they are. And they were stuck that way for years. And Chief also did a segment on time, and people often say life is short. You know, oh, I'm going to join Anu because life is short. But Chief said, nah, life is long. It's the longest thing you're going to do in this current form that you have. You know, so he would say life is too long to not get myself together, or life is too long to not get my family together. Life is too long to not live up my purpose. You're worried about a couple of seconds of feeling this uncomfortable. Life is too long to be worried about that small little blip on the radar. But to you, it doesn't feel like a blip because you don't want to move beyond it. You want to stay stuck in that emotion or that feeling. You know, so yeah, man, it's not like a super it's not a super harsh position to put yourself in when you're being corrected by someone you've seen to be righteous and committed and consistent. You know, this isn't someone who has a bunch of questionable qualities to him. He's proven that he's solid. And when he corrects you, you know it's right and exact. So what's the problem? You might feel uncomfortable for a couple of seconds.
Man, you said that he left a comment, right? I hit the comment section and it just blossomed like a flower. I swear to goodness, I didn't see any of these. I didn't see any of these. All right, and then I saw somebody was a guest on here. I saw a light flash and then it went away. So I don't know. Somebody wanted to come on YouTube. Just put it back in there, and I'll get you on here. Whoever that was.
Look at that. All of that. Because I'm like, I know there were comments.
I didn't see it. I would go over here, hit the button, and it would be the same as what was already up there. Then I go over here, and I come back, and then the whole thing would disappear sometimes too. So, whatever. All right. But what you were just saying, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you just said, Master Minilet, of, you know, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it made me think of the frog. What's the thing where they put a frog in a pot and then they would gradually turn the heat up? And as long as the heat was gradually turned up, it would stay in there until its demise, because it didn't recognize that ultimately it was being cooked. And I would liken that to so many people who stay in this and try to function in this society of telling them this is what something is, and telling them this is what family is, and telling them you can be whatever you want to be and just be an individual, and just slowly being cooked until your demise, until it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that this heat was on. Yeah. I didn't realize that somebody was actually trying to kill me. Yeah. But it felt so good. I thought I was in a hot tub. I thought I was just warming myself up. No. And meanwhile, somebody has been telling you from the rooftops the entire time, hey, there's a flood coming. There's a flood coming. Get yourself together. There's a flood coming. Get yourself together. Yeah, I hear that, but you know what? I got to go do this thing. Yeah, I hear that, but I got to go over here and do this. Are you going to commit? Are you going to say, you know what? I'm getting out of this water. I'm getting out of this because I have let that torrent or that flood that I've let in that ultimately now is causing issues, internal issues. And unfortunately, that's when people want to start to commit to something when they have an issue. Now that I got hypertension, now that I got some internal issues, now that I got depression, now that I have anxiety, and it's debilitating where I can't even get out of the bed, or now that I got all these issues where now I can't even have some functional relationships, where I have meaningful relationships and meaningful interactions with people. I don't have any of that. So now let me try to find something that'll at least do something to make me feel better about that. As opposed to wanting a genuine an authentic connection with the community that is going to make one grow, that is going to anchor themselves to their soul, anchor themselves to the Most High, and say, you know what, this is what we do. It's time for me to take back the things that were ultimately taken, take back the knowledge that was hidden, or take back the things that everybody says that, oh, you should do what the worldly things does, but meanwhile, it's just getting me further and further away from the source. Let me get reconnected, and let me connect with like-minded individuals. Let me connect with those who are on the same path. Let me start to become equally yoked. I'm gonna read. Well, Akoti Yamina, did you want to say anything? I'm gonna go through some of these comments as long as they're up here.
Yes, peace, Good thanks. Peace, everyone. While you're speaking, it just reminded me of something, like just how psychology works and how our brain can play tricks on us. Like, I think it was Master Menelik who shared with me the sunken cost fallacy. And I think a lot of times people continue investing in things that they've invested so many years or so many resources into, because they think that if they stay with it, they'll still reap the benefits of it. But the time has already been lost, and the money has already been lost, and the resources have already been invested. So it's a fallacy. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. And that's what I was wanting to share, that term.
Man, your mind playing tricks on you. And that's like somebody showing you an image that you have let in through your conscious mind that just ultimately sinks down into your subconscious. And then you start to base your life off of a fantasy of what somebody told you might have been there. So now you're saying your mind playing tricks on you because you have let the flood in. You've let it in. Like somebody has dropped something at your front door, and you open the door, and instead of saying refusing or return to sender, you open the door and you bring it in. So now they drop off a thought that says that you're not this, you're not that, or whatever the case may be, and you let it in. And then when you let it in, now all of a sudden you're wondering why things are not working out, or you wondering why you're double-minded because one thing is telling you this, but then the world telling you another thing, and then now it's pulling you in two different directions, or you start to have conversations with somebody, and then now they're sick, and then you feel like you're emotionally triggered because of something that they said, but meanwhile, you don't have peace in your own life. And when one has peace in their own life, then one starts to look at certain things and they'll say, you know what? This conversation, somebody is trying to hand me a gift. And if somebody hands me a box and I say I refuse it and I don't want it, then that box does not belong to me. That box belongs to the person who's trying to hand it to me. So when somebody starts to tell me that, try to speak negatively, or tries to slander, or tries to do things of the nature that I know I am not, I don't accept that as my truth. That gets very dangerous. So let me be correct. I don't accept that as my reality because I already know who and what I am and what I've been fashioned to do. So I don't need to accept that. That's not something I accept. Whereas opposed to, so now that doesn't trigger me. You still have peace and you still are anchored to your creator. It doesn't start to say, oh no, we're going to fight now. We're going to do this. So I got to go off because this person just said this. That doesn't belong to me. That belongs to you. And that's when you start to get where people say, hurt people. Yeah, Some people want to drag you down right along with them, that Leviathan that's going to bring them right down to the bottom of the pit. But now, if you haven't found peace for yourself, if you're not anchored to anything, or if you're not in the community that starts to tell you, okay, this is what we do and what we don't do, then you're going to start to have those negative thoughts. And you might start having those things where your mind starts playing tricks on you. I might see something that's really not there. Or like what Master Mendelek said, somebody might say something of, hey, you need to get your stuff together. You're trying to say I'm childish. You're trying to say, now your mind starts to try to take something and turn it into something that where you now are offended. Because you have not put in the work, you have not committed, you have been lukewarm, or you have been on the other side for so long that now all of a sudden when somebody presents something to you, you now take offense to it. Oh, them fighting words right there. Me and you, it's on sight when I see you. Well, you know what should be on sight is your salvation. You know what should be on sight is your reformation. You know what should be on sight is you actually committed. That shit would be on sight. And anytime that you see yourself, you're like, you know what, I'm committing myself to actually grow and do better, as opposed to staying stuck in these same old cycles. That's what one should be committed to and what should be on sight. At any rate, all right. I'm going through some of these comments. Peace, Ricochet, free game, peace, free game, peace, Imaquia, water consciousness. This is where moral superiority creeps in, rather a sense of moral superiority. We got Alpha Woman says the latter group was ignored, which was bad as negative words. Right. I see Master Mendelek put the link in that she's at. Abayada, blessed love. Blessed love. All right. Let's go. All right, G and G. G-A-K-A-G. I have a habit of letting the dishes soak in water too long. I have commitment issues. Well, what you gonna do about it? She says, how does one fire themselves back up after realizing they have been cooled off and made lukewarm? That's a recommitment and a rededication. So just like if one hasn't been to the gym and so long, you got to you rededicate yourself. One, you say, you know what, this is where I no longer want to be, and this is where I want to start moving. Now, what's going to be big as you start to rededicate yourself is having somebody who's an accountability partner, or even committing yourself to a group that's going to hold you to the standard that you say. Because it's very easy to say and profess one thing, and then actually when you start to get in it, it's easy to fall back into your old habits. It's easy to fall back. Now you have to see the need for you to say, you know what, this is where I'm at, and this is where I want to be. But this is what I think some people would say in AA meetings. Some people are not ready to stop digging. Some people are not ready to say, you know what, I'm ready to move on and I'm ready to actually level up. And I understand that. But if you're ready to level up, then that's when you write it down. It's better to write things down so that you have it on paper where this is what I'm committing myself to. And then you want to find an accountability partner that's going to hold you accountable for what it is that you say you're about, because those days are going to come when you're going to be ready to say, you know what, I'm not interested, or I'm not, today is not the day. And then be like, nah, let's go. Yeah, this is what we said. We were committing ourselves to study. We were like the challenge that was given in December, for the month of December, where you're going to commit to level 1, level 2, or level 3, or the bonus level, right? And then you're going to commit, and you're going to say that. Now, halfway in it, you might be like, yo, you might become lukewarm. It's like, I don't really feel like doing it anymore. This is where that accountability partner is going to come in handy. This is where it's best to be with the group and not lukewarm. When you're lukewarm and you're sitting on the fence, it's very easy to say, you know what, it's no big deal, I can do this, because nobody is holding you accountable. Nobody, it's almost like being in a relationship where people start to say, well, Jesus is my man. That's because Jesus is not holding you accountable. You are not holding yourself accountable to what has been actually put forth in front of you. But when you have somebody who's actually there, says, nah, this is what you said, I'm going to hold you to what you said. Now it's like, all right, I'm going to get back up and let's keep going. Now you're going to have to say, you know what, I got to honor my word. Honor, integrity, accountability, responsibility. These things start to become part of your vernacular, and you start moving forward in that sense. Abayada says, commitment issues also manifest follow-through issues. I also had to explore this aspect of myself. It wasn't until Chief helped me to realize that what I stood on was my source was not embraced. GAKG says, I was afraid of choosing the wrong religion when finding out there were so many, but I see and hear what you all laying down. Give thanks. Chief says, you should have fear in choosing the wrong religion. It's the most important choice you'll make in your entire life. And the second most important is who you decide to mate with. Man, let me do my best. Coach Maria. This is true.
This is true.
This is true.
This is
Oh man. All right. Chiefs, don't know where the music or the moaning is going. That ain't me. I don't know what you talking about. That ain't me. A new radio says Proverbs 4:27 says, turn not the right hand nor the left, remove thy foot from evil. I think that's what you were saying earlier, Master Menelec. She says, your current frequency can only receive a matching frequency. When they connect, there is a resonance. There's always static of unknown when going to the next frequency and no resonance. I mean, that's what, well, there's a saying that people says your vibe attracts your tribe, which, I mean, there's some truth to that. What are you putting out now? Now, when you get in there, that's what Chief has said too on Friday, is now there's going to be somebody though that's going to say, all right, now we got to go to another frequency though. Like, this is where you came in at. Now this is where let's level up, and then that's where people start to run. Because they want to maintain that same frequency that where they came in at, and they think everything is all sweet, and it's like, nah, let's go ahead and I'm gonna get you closer to the tower. And meaning getting closer to the tower means that I actually have to climb. And then when I start to climb, then that's when I start to feel my lower back start to burn. I start to feel my hamstrings tighten up, and then I just want to just sit down and rest. And I just, you know what? That's when I want to taste that steak again. That's when I want to go back. And I want to do what the world was doing, because you know what? This is just too much. This is too much.
You know what? I can feel the Matrix reference coming up.
You better believe it.
I can feel it because I actually thought of one in the same moment when you were speaking, when Morpheus was telling Neo, you know, you're talking about getting closer to the tower, but, you know, Morpheus told Neo, I can only show you the door. You're the one who has to open it.
Right.
You know? So no matter what, you still got to do your own work. No matter how much guidance you get, you still got to put in the work.
Right. That goes back to the preface when it says, when you study this book, you will become enlightened, right? Again, I'm showing you the door. There's the door right there. You become enlightened of the ways of our new, but the work, you must work for your own circumspection. Like, you got to do it. So it was just in the sense of when he was sitting there like, hey, man, I know Kung Fu. Show me, G, show me. And I ain't talking about you, G-A-K-G. I'm talking about G in the, you know, colloquial sense. Show me. Show me what you got. And if it's not putting action, then you just jaw jabbing, man. Just jaw jabbing. Well, I don't know where it was because these comments just went. Says, man, you have questions and comments in the chat. Hey, man. Where you at? Hey, charge my heart. I mean, my head and not my heart. He was in the right spot. She says, preach, Master Menelec. This is so true. People love to confuse what was said with what they heard. You ain't never lied. G says, the guilt of not getting the books available to me through our new hits different now. Give thanks. I can get them now. Okay. Top tier says, being afraid of making a mistake is no good. It definitely paralyzes you. Chief says, Georgina, you've been around our new for 1,000 years. It's more than books. that up there for you. G and G. One time for the one time. You know what I'm saying? All right. Says I recognize that every time I tune in is for me. There you go. Akoti Yakira. I'm thinking this. I meant Emma Yakira. Yes. Preach. I hear you, sis. Star. Top tier says, speaking facts, Emma. G and G says, I hear you because it feels like I need to be. Chief said, oh, you just said that. And then Abba Harut says, Aki Zach, everything you saying, I never heard Chief say, which is right on point. Cool, Abba Harut. Much thanks.
Oh man, you get your bar for last night.
Yeah. So again, I'm gonna read this because I just think it's important. And again, if anybody has anything, well, does anybody else have anything they want to add before we transition to another space and time?
You were speaking about if you don't, like, use the example, if you don't go back to the gym, or if you go back to the gym after not going to the gym for a while, and you got to recommit yourself, have an accountability partner. You also got to adjust your expectations to your current level so you don't get frustrated and quit. Because you may be like, man, I used to be able to do like 50 push-ups in a clip. I barely did 20. I'm out of breath. Maybe this just isn't for me. You ain't out of breath. You're out of shape. You got to get back in shape so that you fell a couple of rungs down the ladder when you fell off, and you gotta push yourself to get back, not even back into shape, but into better shape. So sometimes that illusion is there that I could just put something down for months or years or even a couple of days and come back to it and just be as great as I was at my highest level. It doesn't work like that. Just keep putting your work in and know that you're at where you're at and accept that and grow from there, as opposed to trying to meet your fantasy and burning out.
Man, you said a lot right there of people getting into something and then trying to compare your being on chapter 1 to either your old 10 year or 20 years ago when you was on chapter 7 in that stage in your life, or getting in there and starting to compare yourself to somebody else's chapters who've already been in there. With somebody can be like, which I know I did when I was charged to do videos. I'm like, I can't do it like you do it, Chief. Like, what's going on with that? But again, how much work did he put in to get his understanding? How many teachers did he have to sit under? How many books did he have to read? How many study sessions did he sit in? Right? How many things did he have to turn down because he committed himself to something? And I think that's what a lot of people start to skip over is, even when you start to compare yourself with other people, what type of commitment did they have to put in order to get to where they're at currently? Then if you start to see that, well, then you should start working back. What do I need to start to do to put in place so I can get there and be this thing that I'm claiming to be, whether it be a year from now, whether it be 5 years from now, whether it be 10 years from now, and play the long-term game. I know it's very easy to get caught up into wanting something immediate return or some immediate gratification. Right now, I need to do something right now, as opposed like when people start to go into businesses. And what's one of the first things that they do? I'm going to sell chicken and shrimp, or I'm going to sell a hot dog sandwich because it's going to get me immediate return, as opposed to, you know what, I'm going to start to study and I'm going to start to learn. And you may not see it right now, but ultimately I'm building a solid foundation, and the solid foundation is going to keep me from it all crumbling. It's going to keep me from now trying to invest in worldly things, where I want to say it was, what did he say? when you fly low, you don't got to worry about falling. I'm not invested in all of these other things of trying to hold on to these things that people say that I'm quote unquote or deemed successful. I'm not going to hold on to all of these old habits and these old thoughts that ultimately are having me really be insane, because now I'm trying to say I'm keep trying the same things that somebody else tried and expecting a different result. I'm not, if one is willing to move beyond that, if one is willing to say, you know what, I'm committing myself to this, and I'm going, and I'm not, and it's not matter of fact of being double-minded where I go to the gym, I work out, and then when I leave the workout, I'm gonna reward myself with a milkshake. Now being counterproductive. I'm going to sit in, I'm going to learn all this great new information, or I'm going to learn and study all of this, and then I'm going to go and then I'm going to do it, I'm going to hang out with somebody silly, being unequally yoked. I'm going to go do something that's going to be counterproductive to my progress, or I'm not going to actually commit and actually put in a paper to be sponsored by somebody. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit on the outskirts, and then so I can still commit to my old life, or still hold on to what I think is going to feel good for me. And then ultimately prevents one from growing, prevents one from moving forward. And then all of a sudden there's a day where all HE double hockey sticks break loose. And that's when one starts knocking at the door. I don't know. You get spit out. Spit out lukewarm. I don't know. You neither hot nor cold. You just get spit out. And that's where it becomes so problematic for people. It's like, hey, what about me? We want nothing that is common. So you got to unlearn to relearn. But we aspire to maintain the spirit that is set apart, prestigious, and righteous. Anything else is not our new. Did anybody else want to add anything before we go? All right, cool. Well, give thanks, everybody, for joining. Give thanks for the comments. There was somebody that was a guest over here, and I don't know. I saw the light come in, and then I saw the light go out when I clicked it. I'll give you about 5 seconds, and you can jump on. Peace to the chief.
Peace, brothers. Yeah, man, this has been beautiful. I know you're closing out, so I just wanted to say real quick in passing that there was an example that you gave, you know what I'm saying, in terms of kind of firing yourself back up and getting to where you need to be. And you used the gym. And I think what's also important in an example like that is to first recommit yourself to recommitment. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people, you know, enter into certain experiences and exit out of those experiences based off of temporary motives. You know, I might go to the gym because there's a wedding coming up, and I know they're going to be taking pictures, and I want to look good in my tux or look good in my suit or whatever, you know, so let me hurry up and try to get something happening so I can hurry up and look good for these pictures, you know. But it's always important to ask yourself, why am I here? And my commitment has to be to the commitment, to the consistency of the commitment, because you might hit up the gym and you're thinking, which is very common. This is, again, why I always say you need overseers, you need jegnas, you need pastors, and not just jegnas like people say, well, Chief, I follow you. You just listen to YouTube videos. It's not the same, because you're in control of when you turn that off and you turn it on, and what parts you want to listen to and what parts you don't. But you might show up in the gym or show up in the gym if I knew, and you go to get on the squat rack, or you go to get on to do bench press, and I'll say, no, go over to the machine. You know, and you a big old grown man, and you saying, the machine, that's for senior citizens and women. You know what I'm saying? You go use the machine. Yeah, you need to use the circuit machine. Yeah, the one over there that's pink and neon blue, with the pink and neon blue stripes on it. Go on that. You need to rock the machine for at least a month before you come back over here to free weights. You know, so when you're really committed, you'll recognize, like, you know, I have to be committed to this process, and the process is not something that I'm going to control necessarily, or I'm going to define, but I'm committed to being consistent once I'm in that space, whatever that consistency may be, it may be me going to the gym, it may be somebody snatching me out and saying, hey, we're going to just go to the park for a while and we're going to do some body weight exercises, or we just going to walk, or we're going to go swimming or hiking. We're going to get you started there because you're not as ready as you think you are. And maybe I just need to get you to be consistent. Forget all the extra exotic stuff you want to do. We just need to work on your consistency. So if I can get you to come outside and walk with me every day, we're going to do that for a while. So I just thought about that as an example, not as an example, but I guess as embellishing on the example that you gave, which was very quick and it was a great one. It's like, yeah, recommitting yourself. But again, why are you recommitting yourself? Because that's going to determine if you're going to stay or not. And one last thing, and I'll close out. Well, I'll mute out. One of the things I put in the chat is that a lot of times people become lukewarm because they feel like they lost their first love, and that sends people into a tailspin. And sometimes that happens even in teenage years. Something that they really feel they loved, whether it be another person, it could be their family format. Parents got divorced, they got kicked out of school, sports injury, all sorts of things, and they lose that, and then it like zaps their joy and excitement for life. But that's because they didn't realize the first love is really the love with the soul, and the soul is on fire. It's always on fire. The fire never dims. And if you establish a love affair with your soul, or recognize that first, because all babies have a love affair with their soul anyway, and then when we become lukewarm, or we start slipping into the dangers of it, what it means is we're just becoming more worldly. So we fall in love with something in the world. All of those things are temporary, and that once the temporary nature of it reveals itself, we become heartbroken, and now we just don't care. We're jaded. We become indifferent. But if you attach yourself to a not passionate, but an intense love affair with the soul, then you'll never be lukewarm. You'll always be on fire. So just wanted to share that.
Now, give thanks for that. It made me even think of when people go to the gym, and you said like even start on the controlled machines as opposed to starting with the free weights. And one may not understand why I have to go over there. Well, guess what? Maybe somebody recognizes you're going to get yourself hurt if you start over here. And now when you get yourself hurt, all you're going to do is set yourself back. It's like, this is why, and then this is where all the excuses start to come, or when we're like a coach of Yamina's just said, your mind starts playing, see, this is why I knew I shouldn't have been over there. I knew I shouldn't have, I knew I should have stayed over here, because now when I went over there, I got myself hurt. Well, no, you got yourself hurt because ultimately you didn't listen. You didn't listen on saying, you know what, nuh-uh, you're going to build yourself up. You just don't go over here and get on the squat rack and then squat 315 pounds of a free weight, because it'll crush you. Let's start to build up to this where you can start to, I'm going to put you on the hip sled. Yeah, that's where I'm going to put you at. I'm going to put you on the Smithsonian where it feels like you're lifting on the moon. You don't know how much you lift. And moving. But again, I'm going to build it up. You got to build up the muscle in order to now, okay, now let me put you over here. And now that you have proper technique, as opposed to you just doing everything all crazy, and now all of a sudden you blow your shoulder out. And then you start complaining about, this is why I shouldn't have been over there in the first place. Nuh-uh, let me take it step by step and say, you know what? I want to make sure that I have the proper foundation in order to get to where I need to be. So that therefore now I can sustain where I'm at once I get there. Not just all of a sudden when I get it all and then all of a sudden it goes away and then I'm more devastated and then wondering why, or thinking that the fire went out, when really it's because I didn't kindle the fire the proper way. And now when the rain came and I didn't cover it, now it's just out, which it never goes out. But I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but those are great points. I mean, it just reinforces. I know ourselves on mute. I'm mute again, though. But
Please keep going.
because I did mute though. You know what I'm saying? That's why I changed it from close out to mute. I'll cover myself. Put a little loophole there just in case. But yeah, man, you know, I think what's critical is like I've been saying it a lot lately, like really supporting the idea of having that jegna, because that's what you're really saying. Because who's going to be there to say, no, you're not ready for this, you need to be doing that. And you know, a lot of times when people come into some level of self-improvement, well, the word right there, self-help, self-improvement, they think they can walk themselves through the experience. And you know, someone has to tell you what the experience is first before you can walk through that door. You know, someone has to say, well, this is a door that you need to go through. You know, because you may be thinking one thing or one thing's required. I can't tell you how many people, when I used to bodybuild, in particular women, and this is no shot to women, you know, you just don't know, you don't know. But a lot of women used to come to me and say, oh, I want to work out with you, I want you to train me. And they would grab their stomach. They'd be like, I want to lose all of this. And they grab their butt and legs, say, but I want to keep this. You know, and
right.
I'd say it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you watching commercials and stuff is telling you rub this cream on your stomach and your stomach could go flat. Like, it doesn't work like that. The reality is, I can already tell what your shape is. You know, I can already tell what you look. I can tell what you're gonna look like after you work out. Or maybe that butt that you have that you don't want to lose, maybe it's box shaped and you really do need to lose it. It doesn't look as good as you think it looks. You know what I mean? But right. That's where that jegna, that pastor, comes in and is able to say, like, yeah, I'm going to give you what you need, you know, not what you want. And real quick, you know, it's like the sacrifice of sometimes what you want. You know, you had said that before, like, what has Chief gone through in order to be able to get, to get to where he's at, man? A lot of sacrifice. You know, a lot of Friday nights where my friends was hitting me up like, yo, we're going to go over here, we're going there. I'm studying. What do you mean studying? For what? You ain't even in school. You know, like you making yourself study? Right. Yeah, bro. I'm making myself I gave myself a book report. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the sacrifice is where a lot of things begin. And sometimes that's difficult. And for me, I've been sacrificing, for a long time, but it pays off. Some of the things that we hold on to temporarily, they may make some cool memories or whatever, but in the long run, it's that investment in the cultivation of your soul that you could still stand firm on, man. You know, I remember one year missing Freaknik. You know what I mean? I went the year before, and I had a Mazda MPV back in the day. That's when the Mazda MPV was the one to have. And everybody's like, yo, we're gonna go back to Freaknik this year. You got the MPV. And I had two whips, actually. I had a Q45 and an MPV. So my man Gooch was gonna ride my MPV, and I was gonna take the Q45. So we just gonna load up crazy, go down to Atlanta and just, act like we ain't have any sense. And I had an opportunity to study with an elder who was coming in. He was staying with his daughter for a while. And he was like, yeah, man, come on by the house and we'll this, that, and we can go over some stuff. And I didn't have the heart to tell him, like, or I didn't have the insanity to tell him, like, oh, elder, I can't go because I'm going to go down to Freaknik and, where I got no business being, and, go mess with a bunch of girls from Atlanta, and because I want to be able to go see the slick down baby hair girls down there. And they got the T-Boz mushroom haircuts and the sleek perms, and the Holly Berry dudes and the Whitney Houston's roll, and you know what I mean? Like, this is back in those days. So yeah, I need to be able to go see all of that, Pastor, because I need to see the Missy finger waves and the Moesha micro braids. So I can't sit here and study with you because poetic justice is waiting for me. So sometimes those and what was crazy that year, I gave my man, I was like, yo, just take the MP, You know, y'all go have fun, whatever. They was laughing at me, making fun of me, like, hey, yeah, whatever. You know, and had a ball. They had a ball. So I can't even say, like, yo, they got into a car accident. And see, that's the way things work out, because I was, you know, saying, nah, they had a ball. You know, because my man Ponce had just bought a video. Back then, video cameras are like a big deal and very expensive to own. And my man Ponce bought a video camera, and I saw the videos.
Thus gave birth to Girls Gone Wild.
Exactly. Basically, like a lot of young boys, y'all aunties, you know what I'm saying? Busting it, right? It was crazy, man. And I just had about a notebook, a composition or two full of notes. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, what did you do this summer? You know what I'm saying? So that sacrifice is a key part to maintaining your fire, because the worldliness douses it. You know what I mean? And you always got to be sensitive to moments when you may be dousing it with worldly addiction. You know, so, you know, that's a small example. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Like, there's a bunch of nightclub openings I didn't go to, or, yo, shorty saw you, she said, yo, she wants you to come through. Nah, man, you know, I go into this lecture, you know, Naeem Akbar is going to be at first. Well, who? Not what? Nah. Yeah, man, you don't know who he is. Right, exactly.
See what you did there.
It's like, yeah, man, but shorty got the Tyra Bank bangs. Yeah, man, well, the Tyra Bank bangs is going to have to, I'm going to the lecture, you know. So, yeah, man, that sacrifice where you are cutting yourself off from the secular enticements, because those are cold, those are freezing, because they're hell. So you're on fire. Your soul is already on fire. It already is. You know, but the world is a cold place. And then that's what will cool you out. But when you dive into the spirit of the Most High, that's all breath and wind and wisdom. You know, so what it does is it raises that fire up. Now there's no way you could be lukewarm. You're on fire. You know what I mean? So that's just a little thing I thought about when you're saying it. You know, that sacrifice is real, man. And it's sometimes it's not too many years later that you see, like, oh, I'm glad I invested in this.
Right.
So, you know, you got to have that consistency, like the gym thing you said. You know what I mean? Like, you may be working out. Some people work out. You know, your first month or two, you're gonna see big gains, and then it's gonna be a plateau, and you're gonna be like, man, I don't even feel like I'm doing anything. I used to walk out of the gym and I'd be pumped up for the rest of the day. You know, and now it's like 30 minutes later, I'm soft again. You know, and you got to be consistent, man. And that's, nothing is microwave. You know, there's no microwave technology when it comes to your upliftment, your ascension, and your redemption back to your privileged place as sacred royalty. It's not a microwave experience, you know. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Oh, man. And it made me think of when people get caught up in spot training of, yeah, I just want to focus on my butt. I just want to focus on, you know, like dudes, arms and chest, F the rest, but no foundation. Yeah, I just want to go. I want to go to Freak League. I just want to go to the beach, and I'm just going to pack all shorts, no shirts, because that's just how I'm going to roll. But for one to be holistically healthy, right? This is a mentality that one can't bring into their study because it's a holistic package. So it's not like I just want to fix this area of my life, but these other ones I'm still want to hold on to and maintain. It does not work like that. That's when people start to have this Frankenstein mentality. You're starting to build things, or, yeah, I'm just going to have my fat frozen from my midsection, or I'm just going to start moving it to here and doing all of this here. Is one now start to take a look at this and say, I'm going to be holistically healthy and understand that, you know what, I'm going to be fashioned into I'm going to be fashioned into where finances are going to be on one accord. My relationships are going to be on one accord. My spirituality is going to be on one accord, where it's not me trying to pull out things that I specifically think need to be fixed, but me not leaning on somebody who is further along the path, who now can start to see, yeah, your butt does look like a box. Yeah, you know what? Your family is in disarray. Yeah, you know what? You do need to fix these things, but you know what? These are the things that are small in the back that one cannot see. Are you going to be willing to say, you know what? This person is further along the path than me, and I have to trust the process. And the process says that I got to start from here, and I'm going to start moving, and whatever it is. And I'm not me saying, well, how long is this going to take? How long do I got to stay in that section before I can come over here in this other section? It's not about that. It's just about me committing to this, like Chief just said, of being committed to the commitment. I don't care how long it's going to take me. I just know that I can't go back to what I came from. That is something that I'm committed to, is not being the same person that stepped through this door. Or as it used to say, like the orrery that leads to the dawning shouldn't be the same one to come out. I don't want to be the same person that left out of here, that when I leave out of here, that I was before I walked in here. And I'm not going back to that. And I don't care what small increments that I need to start to put in place in order to start to climb to ascend. And I'm not going to start to, fall into this thing of I'm going to reward myself for my little bit of commitment, which ultimately just wipes out everything that you've done, because now you wanted to go to Freaknik, because you wanted to just go check the girl out that looked like the Halle Berry poster, or whatever the case may be. I'm committed to this. And if you want to get in, if somebody really wants to know you, then they'll start to say, well, what is it that you're doing that I'm going to start committing myself to as well? And if that's not the case, then you got to ask, what are you, this is where it talks about being unequally yoked. What are you yoking yourself to? What worldly things that now start to douse your fire, that you now start to say, you know what, maybe this ain't that bad. Maybe I shouldn't. There was a matter of fact, there's a guy that Chief talks about. I can't even think of his name right now, but he said he stopped eating chicken. And then one time he said he must have ate a piece of fried chicken that hit his lip. I keep forgetting dude's name. He cussed out all of the reasons. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Bobby?
Yeah, I seen him. He said that he didn't eat chicken, right? And then he was like, I must have got a piece of KFC one time. And he said it hit my lip. I've been eating chicken ever since. And I was like, this is the case of going down a road that starts to now douse the fire. And that starts to bring different ramifications and different problems in one's life. But you just so like, you know what? It feels good in the moment. Can one start to move beyond that, so that now you can commit yourself to something that you can say, you know what, when the rain comes, I know I'm going to be at peace. And when it's sunny outside, I know I'm going to be at peace. I'm not so reliant on what everything is going on around me, because it's not going to start to throw me off my square, because I'm anchored and I'm rooted into what I say, my actions match my words, and my words match my actions. Akoti Yafe, I'm pretty sure you in here to tell about how to sign up. If I'm wrong, then my apologies. All right, peace.
I just had a quick addition regarding the comment about the gym. And I wasn't going to share it, but then when she brought it back up, I was like, okay, maybe this is a connection. And if I'm wrong, I will gracefully endure the correction. And I thought about muscle memory. Like when you go back to the gym after, or you start working out again after you haven't worked out for a while. And I was like, when you brought it up, I was like, oh, that's like muscle memory. And so when Chief mentioned the idea of like, you're never disconnected with your soul, like your soul was your first love affair. I went back to like, well, that's like muscle memory, like going back to the beginning, but needing help and needing assistance to get back there. Like it's not just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go, like you said, go do free weights. No, you have to be told what to do. And sometimes like we have been told what to do. So it's like, go back to those instructions. Go back to those instructions so you can activate that muscle memory and get centered and balanced like you need to be. And that was it. That was all I had to share. Give thanks.
Right. And that's like playing the sport of maybe I haven't been playing this sport for a while. So now my instincts or by that muscle memory, now it's not there. So now maybe, or if I'm on a team and then they call a play and I haven't been studying the playbook, then I'm like, now I'm overthinking. And now when I start overthinking, then it's not me just reacting to the moment of saying, okay, this is what I need to do, and my body just doing it. Now everybody is moving 100 miles an hour. As opposed to me saying that if I'm committed to this and I know what's going on, now my body can react, and now it's just flowing in the moment because I already know what I'm supposed to do. I know where I'm supposed to be, and I know how to get from point A to point Z, and then I understand how the other team or the opposition is trying to attack me. So when all of those come into alignment, that's when people start to say how great this person is, or how, man, they just a leg above everybody else. But there's a commitment that goes along with when one says that they're great. Then you have to commit yourself to the gym. You got to commit yourself to studying, and you have to commit yourself again to studying some more, studying the opposition, studying film. What type of plays are they trying to run? What are they trying to do to me? How can I start to not only free myself up, but free my teammates up and becoming a team player? Because now it's not about me, because if it just becomes about me and they stop me, then the team is not going. That's not the greatest self-preservation, is group preservation. So now how do I make everybody else better? How can I put everybody else in positions where they can win? So that now they want to be on the team and they want to start to play hard. Not just be individuals on the team, and all of a sudden now we're wondering why. Well, we got all this talent on it, but it doesn't seem like anything is working. Well, y'all, are you playing together? Do you want to pass the ball to them, or do you want to try to hold on and do everything yourself? Do you understand that somebody may be able to shoot better than you? And because this person can shoot better than me, I'm willing to pass it. But yes, guess what? They seem to be getting all the glory. Are you somehow insecure in your role on this team? Or I just want that role? Or are you an actual true player, and are you authentic to what it is that you say you're about, and then putting in the work to actually make sure that the team wins? So absolutely, give thanks for that. And is there anything that I'm missing, Nicole, to y'all? I know there's a retreat. There's some shows.
Oh, sure. I was gonna add on before I say anything about the retreat. I was gonna add on to what you just said, because regarding like the team, it goes back to our instruction to get on one accord. And really, like, getting on one accord also is like everybody playing their position. It's not necessarily like, oh, we're all on this equal space. We're all growing together, yes, but we all have a position and a role to play, like bees in a hive. Everybody has their position for the betterment of the group.
Right. Let me not rush y'all. Anybody else want to add anything? We can buy it.
Yeah, man. Yo, it ain't. It's not just muscle memory. It's fat memory too. Like fat boy, fat girl, lazy slob memory. You know what I mean? So you gotta always remember that. Like if you was a couch potato for 10 years, and you jump up and you want to go work out, and you're expecting it, to look like an Adonis in 12 months, that's not gonna happen. Because your body, you've trained your body for the past 10, 15, 20, however long you just been sitting on your butt. You've trained your body that's the format that you want it to be. So you have to retrain it, which means breaking everything apart. That's why the first time you go to the gym, you feel like something's broken. The next day, like I can't move my arm. My knees. This wasn't right. I knew I should have used the machines. So your body has that memory of it just has memory, period. Water can be programmed in so many different directions. So if you've been working out, like you might be like, man, but I used to work out in high school, or I worked out for like 4 months back in the days. Well, how long? Like 10 years ago. Well, that ain't nothing. That's not gonna do anything. So and different people, their muscle memory, it's different lengths. Like some people, after 3 days, their body kind of gets adjusted around, neurologically, certain movements. And some people it takes 3 months, or some people it take a year. It's all different rates, in terms of that. But I can tell you, it works on the other side as well. If you've been sitting on your butt for a long time, your body holds a memory of that, and that's gonna always feel like the default position it wants to go back to. So even if you work out, there's always going to be this feeling like, I just want to relax today. I should give myself a break today. I just want to sit and watch TV today, man. I worked out hard yesterday. I did legs yesterday, so I guess I could relax for a while. You're always going to feel that leaning to go back to whatever your default position has been. So obviously we're using a gym example, but that would refer to anything as it pertains to your development. If you spend most of your time durationally just doing nothing, living day by day and waiting to see what's going to happen next, not really going hard on anything, and just kind of tiptoeing and skipping around, then your spiritual body has a memory and a default to that. So to break out of that means that memory has to be ripped and torn apart, just like muscle fibers, in order to build a new memory. And it takes time, and it takes consistency, and it takes a lot of routine and ritual to let your spirit know this is what we are now.
Right, and those growing. Yep, go ahead.
No, I was just saying give thanks for that reminder, because I think you said that before. I feel like I've heard you talk about fat memory as well.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
Sometimes you don't even know that time has passed either. Like, you don't, like, for me, I think you have like this muscle memory of doing stuff, and then you may slip into a moment where you're just unmotivated, or I'm just unmotivated, and then I forget that I'm like, you don't know how much time has passed in that state. So yeah, thank you, Chief, for mentioning that.
You talking about Anu Radio?
Yeah. Good comeback. All points there. Yeah, because that was a very intellectual kind of slick comeback. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but it's those growing pains too that what Chief was just speaking about too, and like when you feel the first couple days that you go, and then that general soreness that's gonna kick in, that's gonna try to scream at you, and everything that you got, stop. You can't. And that's where that mental fortitude has to kick in. Like, no, this is what I have committed myself to. This is the new normal. It's not my body telling me what's going to happen. It's my brain that's going to tell my body this is what we're going to do, and it will fall in line. But again, that goes back to that Satan, or satiated, or to be satisfied. And when is the body ever satisfied? It's never satisfied, especially when you start giving it sugar, or if you just giving it, we're just gonna sit here and do nothing. I'm totally fine with this. Or give me more of this, and then wondering why the fat keeps building up and keeps building up. And then when you actually make a commitment to make a change, and all of a sudden you're gonna feel it. Everything that you have been doing or not been doing up until that moment, you're going to feel. But now it's just, I have to be so committed and so on fire to me actually growing that now I know I have to get out of this space. And I can't be a slave to now my body telling me, oh, nah, it's sore. Or, oh man, yeah, take 2 strongs, you're good to go. Like, just take another, which is just gonna get you right back to the same general soreness that you've been in when you start again. Instead of just, you know what, I keep saying how fast time goes by. And every time I look up, I'm like, man, another month went by, until it's like, you know what, let me just commit right now. And I'm going to commit. And then when that month goes by, I can look back in the rear view and be like, yeah, man, I done came, there's a month. Let me go to another one. And let me do another one. And let me do another one. And stringing them all together so that now I can start to commit myself to actual growth. Yeah.
Amen. I know you're about to close out. I do need to say one last thing. This is really the last thing, man. You know, it's one more thing, brother. So you didn't breach a contract. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, I be thinking ahead. But no, it was actually something that was in the chat that I wasn't going to say anything, but it's been kind of gnawing at me a little bit. So, Peace Free Game podcast. He had asked the question, "What's the most important book to read from Chief Yuya's catalog?" And Alexandra Grice, thank you, Alexandra. She jumped in and gave him, some of her own advice on, where to pick up at. And but I will say to the and I'm just gonna call you out, Alexandra, completely. Then she jumped into because he said, well, he applied for Anu and he hasn't been accepted by me yet. Okay. And so then Alexandra messaged me on the side and said, why haven't you accepted him in? So she played the mama bear role, protected mama bear, I guess. But and of course I didn't answer the question because I don't answer the women. But the thing is that question you asked, Free Game Podcast, the reason why I really wanted to, I wasn't going to say anything, but I wanted to respond to it because everything I write is important. I don't have any throwaway books. That's why I don't write that many books. So the book that's most important for you is going to be the book that's most important for you. It's gonna vary. So there's two things that I would suggest you do. I mean, all of the books, if you go on Amazon, there's a description, of what they're about on Amazon. So you can make a determination, but this goes back to people trying to lead themselves. But nonetheless, you can make a determination of like, well, I need some of this, or I need some of that. But what may be important to someone in the chat may not necessarily be as important for where you're at in your life right now. So I would be a little careful about questions like that because they're very personal, right? That's number one. Number two, like you said, you haven't been accepted into our new global ministry yet. You said you're going to keep applying. That could be insanity. It would be wiser, and I'm saying this to you, but that's for anybody listening. It would be wiser to send a message and say, hey, I applied before, I wasn't accepted, or I don't know how many times, maybe you applied more than once, I don't know. But I applied and I haven't been accepted. Although I don't think that happened, to be honest with you. I know your name. I have a feeling you're one of those people. Sometimes what people do, this happened before they apply, and then we respond with an email saying, okay, we want to set up a time to talk to you, and then they never respond. Because sometimes they put in a fake email because I don't know for what, it doesn't make any sense to do that because no one can get in touch with you. Or they just don't check their email. Because that's happened a bunch of times where people have come back and said, I applied, but I guess I didn't get in. And it's like, man, we contacted you. You never got back to us, I'm not saying, I don't know if that's what happened. I'd have to look again. But what I would say for anybody who's in that position who, send a message. Say, hey, I applied some time ago. I didn't get in. And if you don't mind, I would like some insight as to why, I may have been denied. Because you might not have been denied, or it might be something that you might recognize, yeah, that's a problem. I can work on that. Or you might have an explanation, to be able to say like, yeah, that didn't look right, but let me give a little bit more detail, a little bit more background on what that is. Sometimes people, for instance, apply, and when we ask, like, well, why did you apply? They'll say like, oh, because my wife is applying and she told me I should. And a lot of times that lackluster energy is all over their application. They answer with one word answers, yeah, no, I don't know. No, we don't want you. I'm sorry. That's not what we're doing here. So I'm not saying you did that. I'm pretty sure you didn't, knowing you. But I'm just giving for everybody listening. I'm not just talking to one person. If you are ever in that situation, it's okay to, send a message in to Anu Man or to Anu Womb, their social media accounts, that you can ask your questions at, or you could send emails to like anulifeglobal.org or anuwomb@anulifeglobal.org. If you've ever been turned down, and you know, however you feel, you should always ask for feedback. Just like, even on jobs, you don't get a job, never feel embarrassed to say, oh, okay, thank you for the opportunity, to interview with you. But if you don't mind, could you tell me some of the things that, may have affected your decision? That's all for your growth, So I just wanted to say that because I saw it there in the chat and I was going to leave it, but I felt like it should be addressed. And if anybody else may need that assistance. And then, like I said, Alexandra then messaged me. It was like, why didn't you let him in? So, whatever decision that's made, if I make a decision to let someone in or not let them in, I promise you, anybody who would ask me, not just you, Alexandra, but anybody who would ask me, like, well, why'd you do this? You wouldn't understand the why, because you're not Chief Yuya. If you would understand why I do things or don't do things, you'd have your own On New Life Global Ministries. Okay, so that's my very nice way of saying, don't ask me no damn questions, especially if you're not even a member of Anu. Don't ask me nothing. All right. So what I do is what I do. And what I do works because I know what I'm doing and I've been pointed to do it. Now, if you're a member and you're contributing time and energy, I'll answer your questions because you're here and you're contributing. But outsiders, and I understand, me, Alexander, we kind of cool a little bit. I know, but you're not in our new. So, and you applied and took your application back several times before you even got a decision. All right. So put it out there now. But she's still cool. So she knows it's all love. But yeah, man, don't be questioning a man on what a man is doing with their community or in their leadership position, because you ain't a leader. Don't even question a man what he's doing in his home, which is also his leadership role and position. You wouldn't understand, and he doesn't have to answer to you. And I certainly don't. I will answer to our new members. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them don't even have the right to ask me questions. But some of them I will, but you don't know why what happens, and you wouldn't understand it anyway, so I would just say that, like I said, for you, Free Game Podcast, you could reapply if you want, but I wouldn't even do that yet. I'd send a message and ask, because maybe there's something about you that you failed to mention, like maybe there's something good that would have been like, oh, immediately, like, oh yeah, bring him in. And you didn't mention it. Maybe you didn't know, or maybe you answered something in a way where, it might have been confusing, or you might have meant to say something other than what you said. That happens a lot. We have a question on the application, what is your sexual orientation? I can't tell you how many people have answered that and wrote African American. Okay. That's a door. Right. You know what I mean? So that has happened before. You know what I mean? So, not saying that that's something we would deny somebody for, but you might have put the wrong thing in the wrong place or something. Anything is possible, man. So I'm just saying that anybody listening who's applied and not got in, you'll get a response if you ask, like, well, what's the issue? You're not gonna be ignored. I can promise you that you will get a response. Now, if you're ready to hear that response, that's up to you. But that's my advice to you, Free Game Podcast. Just don't even put an application in yet. Just ask, if there's anything that you need to know, or why were you previously denied, if you were. But I'm telling you, I have a strong feeling that I don't think you were. I think there might have been a miscommunication, which has happened. All right. I just wanted to share that, brother. I thought it was important for everybody listening, just to understand that. There's a lot of things that go into bringing people in our new, and it may feel simple and easy. You see somebody in a chat and YouTube like, oh, why you didn't let them in? You don't know them. and they don't know you. And you can't see things like I can see things. There's people who stay in these chats and I knew who have caused damage and I knew before. You know, and you don't know that because I'm never going to say that. You know, if you come back around and you listen, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to say. But there's people who have done really foul things, you know, but you don't know what goes on in the back end. So you just focus on you. And if you want to spread the word, that's cool. But don't try to jump into the mind of the leader because it's going to mess your thoughts up.
I'm guessing this comment, I can't find it. See, something ain't right with this. Oh, well. All right. Akoti Yafe, do we have any announcements or anything that we need to share?
Yes. So for non-members, we do have a retreat coming up in June.
All right.
So the registration will be put on the website soon, and we'll send out a social media message when it is live. So make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing to all of the social media platforms so that you can be abreast of what is happening in Anu. Give thanks.
Right on, right on. Give thanks for everybody for joining. Give thanks to everybody who left a comment in the chat for the ones that I can't see. The last one I see is Abu Harut says everything you said is on point, and then it doesn't go past that. All right, so y'all enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be right back at you. Study group is on Wednesday. Aki El Karar is on Thursday. And Show and Prove. And then Friday, I know it's not called Shima anymore.
Fellowship, you know what I mean?
You was in there for 4 hours a couple nights ago.
Exactly, to midnight.
Yeah. I'm like, I know it ain't Shima. Yeah, fellowship. And then Shabbat right after that. So, all right, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time. Peace.
Give thanks, peace, everyone. Give thanks.